Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCast. We are live from Michigan tonight. 2 to go until the chase starts, and I am joined by a repaired, a rejuvenated, a reincarnated even, Carl Withy. Carl, 2 to go, mate. Time to get serious.
It is indeed, Stuart. Yes, welcome everybody, and it's good to be back here at the Cup. We are here at Michigan, back on a proper oval, which is nice to see. Going left, lots of left-hand turns, not many right-hand turns, and only 2 to go, as you said. So the chase is coming up on us very quick indeed. These guys are really going to want to try and get some good results, especially those down further in the order of the chase. They want to get some strong results tonight so that they can lock themselves in.
So we've got a pretty serious one tonight. We will need to make sure that people put away points, bank what they need to bank. Carl, a quick points update before we head into the race itself.
Yeah, so Josh Mickelson was still up the top of the regular season championship. He's on 810 points. 31 points back is Hamish Gallagher. Neil Pearson is 39 points off the lead. 51 points back is Michael Skurlock. 63 points for Jason Martin in 5th. Andrew Dyson, 68 points off the lead in 7th. Edward Foster, 91 points down. Danny G, 93 off the lead in 8th. Luke Traher, 149 points down. And Maddie Raymond, 151 points down. Now, those guys have to get a strong finish tonight. Those guys down in the sort of, well, pretty much 5th down, really, want to get a strong result, because when drop rounds come into effect, things will change a little bit. So they really want to make sure that they secure their spots in that top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. All important top 10. It's, I believe, the top 16 that go through.
Top 10.
In total?
Yeah.
Only the top 10. Okay, so top 10 go through. So, yeah, definitely those fringe players wanting to make sure they make their way into the chase for the overall chance to win this season here. 2021. Of course, very briefly indeed, we're back on Monday night with the Truck Series, Wednesday night with the Thunder Series returning as well. So getting into the seasons, or new seasons, for those 2 categories as well this week.
Yeah, it's going to be good to have the trucks and the Xfinity cars back on Monday and Wednesday night, of course. Get some fresh drivers into the series, of course. We know we've got a few new people coming into the series, which is great to see, some fresh blood. That's what we love to see. Tonight, we have got a very close field indeed. Qualifying was separated by around about 3/10 from 1st to 30th, so nothing between these guys at the moment. So let's get the grid up and let's go through the starting order. So on the front row of the grid, we have Barry Neal and Jason Martin. Second row, we have Skurlock Douglas. Third is Wally Stockton. 4th is Dyson Urquio. 5th is Danny G and Scott Griffith. 6th is Jaeger and Hedesheed. 7th, we have Pearson and Curtis. 8th, we have Schultz and Jackson. 9th is Gallagher and Micklemore. 10th is JCW, Joshua Carroll-Walton, and debut Ben Vickers. Great qualifying from him. Foster and Phelps are next in line. Then we have Jaden Russell, Adam Rosell, Luke Traher, Stephen Williams, Tristan Koch, Nigel Patton, and Matty Ray, Phil Otto take up the back of the grid. So this is going to be a fast one. Speed is key here. This is basically a super speedway where you lift a little bit. It is one of the faster tracks that we run on. Tyre preservation and fuel preservation are going to be something that is going to be really a thing to focus on in this race.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And you might have noticed on screen, if you've got a keen eye, there's been some colour changes as well for a number of our cars. The DPR boys choosing to rename themselves as DPR M&M Racing, just running across a multitude of colours there. Of course, that is a joke, but they have changed their colours up here, so we're not going to be looking at the traditional white liveried DPR entries. We're going to quickly just have a look here. We'll jump on with Philip Worley, who's now in a purple entry, slightly different colour to Jason Martin, who just went through onto the screen there. But we do have purple, a red, an orange, There is a green kicking around too. I'm not too sure of who is in what colour. We'll work that out during the night. I think Phil Otto's jumped in on the act as well. There is still one original livery there, which is Damon Stockton, who's currently sitting in 6th position. So that's going to take us a little bit to get used to, but a welcome reappearance or re-emergence for Barry Neal on pole position there. Qualifying hasn't been his strongest play of late, so he'll be happy to be up on the front row with Jason Martin to get this one underway. Dave Douglas as well, another standout performance. He's managed to jump up into 4th. He messaged me earlier on tonight and told me that tonight it is business, so he means that he is going to get underway here, as well as the pace car pulls down onto the infield. He's heading down into pit lane, and we're about to get this one underway, Carl.
And it's going to go green here for the Michigan race, for the ANZCAR Cup. Jason Martin gets a good start. Barry Neal on the inside will have a good line coming into the first corner. A few cars trying to make up positions down the back of the pack. Not easy thing to do here at Michigan. You're going to want to run that medium line. Medium to high line is key here. If you run the low line, you can burn up your tyres. Michael Skurlock having a good run from the start there. He gets underneath Jason Martin. He's getting a good push from behind by Philip Worley. Aero is key. Dave Douglas just settling in there. They're running 2 lines at the moment. Expect to see them slotting into a single file line at some stage soon, so not to burn off their tyres. Dave Douglas already just lifting off a little bit, peeling off the back of Martin. You can see Skurlock and Martin still battling it out for that second place. Wally Douglas behind them. Then we have Stockton and Dyson, I think, in there as well. But Barry Neal has pulled away completely. Great start from him.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be loving that, just getting that little gap at the start. Skurlock just keeping his line, and he's going to move up on Jason Martin, you would imagine. At this stage, got a good run down the inside there, but Martin gets a good run off the high, and they've caught back up to Barry Neal. That draft that you're talking about, ever so important there. Dave Douglas, a benefactor as well, as he's got Stockton right behind him, along with Philip Worley as well. So those DPR boys looking to work together. That's the benefit of being up the front and being with one of your teammates. They are going to get that benefit tonight. So it is, in some respects, a team sport here tonight at Michigan, which means that Barry Neal and Jason Martin could come under pressure from those DPR drivers behind them.
Yeah, they absolutely could. This track is almost like a super speedway where you lift a little bit. It's a strange track, very, very fast indeed, getting up to around about 310 kilometers plus in the draft. Sometimes it's, Neil Pearson getting caught there.
Yeah, just Pearson getting caught there. It looks like whether the side draft there or what have you, he got down there into, I believe it was Aiden Schultz, so just a little bit of impact there, but both drivers managing to continue.
Yeah, both continuing there. They very nearly got a big bit of damage. Aiden Schultz probably the one that got the most of that one. He's got damage to the front of that car, so that is going to affect him a little bit. The aero will be a little bit off with that car now, and that's not what you need on a track like this. You don't want to have front end damage. So yeah, very, very close from them. They were going 3 wide next to running 3 wide as well, and that did not help things out next to Riley Curtis, and that really, really caught those guys out.
Tell you what, there's a fair few drivers in surprising positions here. Hamish Gallagher down in 18th. That's unusually low to see him. Josh Mickelmore not but 2 spots in front of him as well in 16th position. Obviously, we know from those guys they'll make their way through the pack up towards the front, but a little lower down in the grid to start off with for this race tonight. And in fact, Neil Pearson in that category as well. So they've got a little bit of work to do to move themselves up the field.
They have, and it looks like Barry Neal's started to drop off quite a fair bit. It looks like he might have just burnt those tyres up a little bit too quickly at the start of the race, just pushing a little bit too hard maybe. And he is just falling down the order. He's fallen down to 6th position at the moment. I'm just trying to see if there was a mistake involved in that, or if it was just from a little bit of lack of pace. Maybe he's just falling back a little bit just to try and preserve fuel. So it doesn't look like there was much of a mistake. He just looks like he's peeled back in the pack a little bit just to try and preserve a little bit of fuel. So a little bit of fuel saving going on there possibly for Barry Neal, just dropping in behind Philip Worley and just in front of Michael Skurlock and behind Philip Worley.
The big Dave Double D in 2nd place. He's getting a little bit of scrutiny now from Damon Stockton, just inspecting the rear end of the 199 entry as he tries to plan a potential move past, but Dave's just used that draft to good effect there. It's just closed in on Jason Martin. Mitch Motorsport entry currently leading this race. You mentioned to me in the pre-game, Carl, probably expecting 2 stops tonight, so that fuel saving is potentially going to help as well, if that is Barry Neal's plan here.
Yeah, look, fuel has always been an important one for Michigan International Speedway. It's one of those tracks where fuel saving can really pay off for you, and little bit gained here and there can make a big difference later in the race for you. So sometimes it means you can stay out an extra lap and you might get a caution fall your way. Sometimes it means you can take a little bit less fuel in that second stop and you're stationary for a little bit less time. But there is a big battle going on at the moment between Neal, Wally and Skurley. They are running 2 wide at the moment. Skurley was looking to go 3 wide, thought better of it for a moment. They've just dropped back into position. Skurley's now trying to make the move on Barry Neal. Can't quite make it done this time. Not the easiest of tracks to pass on because it is such a high speed track. Once you jump out of that draft, all of a sudden you get hit by that wall of air. You lose a little bit of speed. You can use a side draft for you, and if you can get underneath like Skurlock's doing right here, you can sometimes take advantage of that. Barry Neal will be able to sort of use a little bit of that side draft. He's going to be using the draft from David Stockton as well in front just to keep his speed up. So it's not a done deal for Skurley. He really needs to try something different, and he looks like he's doing that by going up on the high line here. Tries to make it. Oh, bit of contact between Wally and Stockton just in front. Door-to-door contact between those two. Those guys may be teammates, but they are racing hard.
Absolutely, and that's opened the door for Barry Neal. Just with that momentum loss there for Stockton and Worley, they've opened the door for Barry Neal. Hasn't managed to quite get it done there, Carl, just indicating exactly what you're talking about there. He lost a little bit of momentum, but as soon as Barry got out into that open air by himself, the 22 entry just slowed up enough that allowed Worley to protect himself. So Skurley now trying to get the move done around the outside as well. As you can see just in the background there, Danny G, Andrew Dyson, Daniel Heddersheed all battling away as well. There's a huge group of cars forming behind this group as well. Let's quickly duck back and just have a look at that as well. You can just see there a big train of cars just trying to run through turn 3, or turn 4 I should say.
Yeah, they are all trying to jostle for position at the moment. They're trying their best to get something done. They just can't quite make anything work at the moment. As I say, it's not an easy track to pass on because it is such a high-speed circuit, but because you sort of have to lift it off in these corners, it's not flat out through these corners. It can catch you out a little bit, as I think that might have been Heddersheed just getting caught out a little bit. And that's check the pack up behind him. The guys behind him are just all over the place at the moment. We've got cars 3, 4 wide behind him at the moment. You can see there's I think that's Aiden Schultz there just behind Neil Pearson and where am I? Yeah,
we got what have we got there in Hamish Gallagher and Riley Curtis involved in that one with Josh Micklemore. So big pack there. Luke Trahan now joining in on that one with Raymond Gallagher with Raymond Yeager as well. So 2 wide they go, 2 by 2, but that top line is definitely the place you want to be at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. The top line starts to become a slightly better option here. You generally want to run the midline here. You don't want to run too low because you do tend to just wear the tyres out a little bit too quickly. So sometimes that slightly higher line can be a little bit easier on the tyres. You don't put that much pressure on them. You don't put that much wear on them, but you do lose a little bit of momentum. So you sort of, you might get a little bit of better drive off, but it was... It does get very, very close and very sketchy here sometimes when you sort of get up on that high line, because then all of a sudden you do get the marbles running up there a little bit too. So if you go a little bit too high, it can get very, very close. There's some fantastic battling going on just behind in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, sort of from Barry Hill onwards. You can see cars just all side by side at the moment. Good push at the moment for Andrew Dyson and Neil Pearson as well. Neil Pearson working his way up there as well. We've got Daniel Heddersheed just down on the low line. Heddersheed doing a great job there of running up in the pack. We've seen him get a podium in every cup race he's raced in so far. So can he do it again tonight? That's a big ask, of course, but he's going to try his best, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course, only in his 3rd race in the Cup tonight, and of course a big shout out to the Juice to Ben Vickers, who jumps in to the main game for the first time tonight, qualified straight out of the box into the top tier. So well done to him. Currently running in 24th, just managing his race well in the Juice Digital entry. So as he just continues to learn and press, he's a very impressive driver joining the series. So doing good things and jumping up into ANZCAR Cup, which is good to see.
Another driver on the move is Philip Worley. He's just managed to get past Skurlock and is trying now to catch on to the big man, Dave Douglas. Double D running up in second at the moment, trying to chase down another purple car, Jason Martin, who has solidly gained the lead at the moment with around about 3/10 of a second lead. So he's checking out a little bit. There's a bit of a gap then from Danny G down towards Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson. So those guys have got a little bit of a gap between them as well. So there's a couple of different packs forming up at the moment. So there's a little bit of a split in the field, which is not always a bad thing. But it's times like this where people can get a little bit desperate, trying to push a little bit harder, and you can get some slightly messy overtakes. So this could be a bit of a danger zone, especially as we're getting into around about lap 16 of the race. The tyres will start dropping off a little bit in the performance. You might just start getting a little bit too much heat on one side of the car. So sometimes the tyres can just get a little bit hot and then they lose their adhesion, and you sort of go to turn in the corner and all of a sudden you get surprised by the lack of grip of the car.
Just to put the mockers on it, it's been a while since we've had a green flag end-to-end race, so obviously just with the tracks and then where we've been running. So at the moment 17 laps down now, all green running in the series. So I'll just see how this one plays out. 3 wide, if you don't mind, through there with JCW in the middle of Josh Mickelmore, and I think that might have been Hamish Gallagher, and I think that might have been Raymond Yeager as well. So just
Edward Foster in that as well, so his teammate working up in the side there too. So both guys are really racing at the moment. It looks like the there's a few people that are a bit further back than we expect to see. So a lot of the sort of chase contenders are quite far back in the pack at the moment. We say that, of course, Jason Martin is leading the race, the ever-present threat of Jason Martin. But aside from that, it's a little bit spread out for the chase competitors at the moment, especially those guys in the danger zone. They're all sort of around about the sort of down in sort of P10 onwards. So they are really battling tooth and nail, and they're having to battle very hard in this pack, which is fighting very hard at the moment. This 2-wide pack running that mid to low line at the moment, that mid to high line at the moment, are really fighting it out hard. Luke Traher having a good run at the moment. He's working his way through the field incredibly well, making up 13 positions at the moment. He's just behind Hedesheed, so he's trying his best to get his way up a little bit further too in the way down machine.
Yeah, absolutely, and this race will suit Traher. We know he's good at managing tyres over the duration. He very much focuses on the long run. So the longer this stays green for Traher, the better it is. We've seen him a couple of times actually this year come from far back in the field towards the closing stages of the race to contest up at the front, particularly inside the top 10. So don't be too surprised if the race plays out the way that it is to see Traher on the podium towards the end of the night. Or in a podium, I should say, on the podium towards the end of the night. There's only a podium at the end of the night, but towards the front of the pack at the end of the night.
He is very good at punching above his weight, Luke Traher. We're struggling with our words tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we will be okay. As we say that, though, Luke Traher, I think, just got up into the wall, or very close to it. I think he just missed it. So he just managed to catch the air cushion there, so he got very lucky, but he just had to lift off a little bit. Although he did get, he's sort of keeping position at the moment, so he's doing a good run at the moment ahead of Jaden Russell. But he did have a little bit of a hairy moment there. Curse of the commentator almost coming into effect.
As now we can see Danny G on Damon Stockton, side by side, door-to-door action, keeping it nice and clean here. You have to favour Stockton to probably keep this position as they head down the straight. He's going to get the benefit of the drive of his teammate Barry Neal, looking to take advantage as well and move right in to Netflix and chill. But he, again, is not quite able to keep up there. So as you said, Carl, maybe a little hard on the tyres early on, just not quite having the corner speed of Danny G, and just dropping back that position as well. And to be honest, out of that, Philip Worley's benefited. He's managed to crack a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, Worley's done a good job in a nice bit of the gap. He's got those teammate Stockton just behind him, which is going to give him a little bit of moral support. Of course, Danny G is going to want to try and get up there for his teammate Jason Martin as well. Those Mitch cars will want to try and link up a little bit. We've got two solo flyers in Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock, and I imagine those two will be working together a little bit. You know, not worrying too much about the big teams all around them. I imagine they'll be thinking, well, look, we're the only couple of privateers up the top here. We've not got many friends here, so we might as well try our best to work together. I'm sure we'll see those two getting along like bandits.
I was about to say, back in the day, they would have called themselves BMX Bandits, so they will be working together. They'll know that they need to if they're going to do anything here tonight. Actually, in a good position, Jason Martin's been leading now for a number of laps, and that'll be hurting a little bit. They can sit there and manage a little bit of fuel, particularly Skirley. So I'm not mad at where they're at the moment in terms of a longer race strategy, but we know Martin's a good leader as well, so it's plenty of laps to play, of course, but from a fuel strategy perspective, it'll be interesting to see how this one resolves itself, as Dave Douglas just stucks down to the inside there as well, so just letting Martin know that he is there and ready to race, but Martin's still a little too far out in front. That cost Dave a bit of time doing that.
Yeah, I think Dave just trying his luck there a little bit, seeing what's happening, seeing what the grip's like, just getting a bit of an idea for future in this run, and just putting a little bit of pressure on Martin, just trying to get him to look in his mirrors and be like, look, there's people behind you, Jason, don't forget us. And I just saw Danny G in the background as well, just feigning a pit entry as well. So they're starting to play a couple of mind games, it looks like. A little bit further back, Lachlan Urquio leads the next pack. And that's from 8th onwards. He's doing a good job there, holding position just ahead of Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Luke Trahair, and Hamish Gallagher, sorry. So he's sort of in the position. As we get, I think we just saw Hamish Gallagher, get up into the wall there. Just going to go back and have a look. I think Hamish Gallagher might have just pinged the wall there, and yeah, he did. He had a big moment up into the wall. Almost caught, I think he actually did catch the nose of his teammate in the 31, Josh Micklemore. So not the lap he would have wanted with his teammate there. It looks like he just clipped the wall, and I think Micklemore just managed to check up in time to miss him. But very, very close there from the two teammates.
Yeah, Neil Pearson under attack from Luke Trahair here. Trahair's trying to go around the outside, and he's going to get the advantage of the draft from Daiso. As Daiso moves across, trying to help out his teammate. Doesn't quite work for him there, so Trahair gets the benefit of that one. Gets that position on Neil Pearson. Daniel Heddersheed looking to take some advantage as well out of that, as he's got Josh Micklemore all over the back of the 035 Race Magazine Natari Autosport entry. So they're trying to work together, you would think, to get underneath Trahair here. Trahair's going to have to attach himself onto the back of Dyson and try and use the draft there to protect his position. Dyson's just broken away a little bit here. He's in no man's land, so to say, between himself and between Trahair and Lachlan Urquio. But that is closing up now on the straight. So Neil Pearson there, a little bit of the loser out of that one. He's now broken the gap to his teammate, so he's going to have to work hard to try and catch that back up as Josh Micklemore looks to take advantage as well.
Yeah, they are really battling hard. We've still got a good battle going on between Stockton, Danny G and Barry Neal as well. Those guys are swapping position lap after lap at the moment. Danny G, the one that's come off worst with that battle this time round, he's fallen into the back of that pack. Stockton now back up in front, but they have been dicing around lap after lap. And that isn't a bad thing for people like Lachlan Urquio and Andrew Dyson, because this gives them the opportunity to start trying to catch up to that main pack. Of course, they are still busy fighting it out as Luke Trahair tries to make a move on Dyson. He gets down on the inside here, gets on that middle line. He's got Heddersheed just behind him, and he's not got much support. This is going to be tricky for him He's going to start losing positions here quite a bit. You can just see now he's got no support. He's out of the draft. He's out of the pack, and he's going to get shuffled to the back.
Yeah, not able to quite slot in there into the top line either. Just closed up there. Jaden Russell just saying, I don't think so, mate. Oh, as he's getting real tight there on Neil Pearson. Just managing to hold it out. Good awareness from Pearson as well, just to give him a little bit of room. Otherwise, they're going to both end up in the fence. As that's Costra here as well. Russell trying to take advantage. Luke's just got to hold on here if he can. Grab onto the back of Neil Pearson and use the draft out of the corner because Pearson's stuck in that middle lane. Oh no, he moves up. Gets in behind Heddersheed there as well. So it could have been a lot worse here for Luke, but if he doesn't manage to get up into that top line, he's going to get hung out to dry here by the Natari Autosport boys, who are looking like they want to join in and make a couple of positions as well.
Yeah, they are really fighting hard in this pack. It's great to see, and it just shows, once you sort of get shuffled out of position, it can be very hard, and you can start really losing positions very quickly as well. So they're starting to really struggle. I think we might be seeing Lachlan Okio coming into pit lane very shortly. It looks like he's coming into the low line, and he is indeed pitted. So that is good information, because Lachlan Okio was in the Jason Martin position. He was sort of leading a pack of cars. So he made it 30 laps on that stint. So that's interesting to know. Of course, he's going to come out on some fresh tyres now, and this could be an advantage for him if he can latch onto the back of a group of cars and it goes green for a bit longer. This could help him out an enormous amount.
So double stops, probably 1 or 2 laps early if it goes green all the way, would you think?
He's going to be struggling a little bit. He's going to be hoping for possibly a sort of late caution, I would say. Although you can stretch it out a little bit, so he can probably make it to the end from here, but it is going to be a little bit tricky. So I think he's just trying for position, and he's just hoping we get a nice green period with a caution a little bit later in the race.
We'll just jump back a little bit further here. Raymond Yeager, Riley Curtis fighting away. This is for positions 16 and 17. As they continue to trade tents. There's a fair bit of damage actually there from that incident you mentioned before with Hamish Gallagher, the right-hand rear corner of the number 13 Mitch Motorsport entry, quite heavily damaged, so that's going to affect him.
The rear as well has got a fair bit of damage to it too, so he's not looking in the best spot. The right rear has got some serious damage to it of Gallagher, so that's going to hurt him quite a bit. Lachlan Okio has come out in the lead pack, so that's not bad news for him. So we're going to see now the difference of those fresh tyres, and he's going to start charging away a little bit here. So he's going to be gaining pace over the rest of the field, and he is indeed. He's almost, and he is past Jason Martin. So crucially, he is back on the lead lap. So this gives everybody a little bit of knowledge that, yes, fresh tyres are indeed a lot faster. You don't want to burn them up too quickly, but fresh tyres are definitely going to help you out. Ben Vickers in pit lane now as well. So this is going to be interesting to see who's going to risk it sticking it out there, who is going to come in a little bit early to cover themselves off, because I think we might see a few people gambling in the next 1 to 2 laps, because that's going to be a point where you can make it home on fuel without having to save too much. So we might see somebody like Dave Douglas come in a lap early just to try and take advantage of it. And that's crucial information as well for the mid-pack. And I think Jason Martin seemed like he might have been thinking about it, but he decided not to. So he's going to go a bit longer. I'm just sort of listening to engine notes as they go around the corner and watching their lines. But it's not always easy to tell what's happening sometimes. But Lachlan Okio is definitely flying at the moment. The rest of the field are setting 41, sort of mid-41s. He's setting mid-39s. So quite a bit faster, but of course he is going to burn those tyres up. So when everybody pits for their tyres, they're going to be much quicker. As Dave Douglas makes a move on Jason Martin for the lead of this race. Dave Douglas going down the inside, gets in front of Jason Martin. Jason Martin looking back to do the crisscross, gets underneath Dave Douglas now. They're going to be side by side as they come to the start-finish line. Jason Martin's going to get a good run here. Dave Douglas has got Michael Skurlock just behind him. They're going to be side by side coming into the first corner. Jason Martin's just going to have to lift off a little bit here as Dave Douglas is going to get into the corner. He's going to have a better line in this midsection. Jason Martin's going to struggle a little bit on that low line. Dave Douglas is going to get the position, and watch Skurley. He's going to try to make the move as well.
Oh, and he gets it done. It's left Martin out to dry with the obviously with the draft there. So Martin's going to lose 4 positions here. Probably pop back into P5 depending on whether or not he can hold out Barry Neal here. If I'm Martin, I'm thinking I'm off, I'm in, boys, see you later, because there's no point. He's going to have to jump on the back of the pack. Oh, he does so here. Maybe he'll save a little bit of fuel for a few laps. He knows he's got the pace to compete at the front, so the worst things can happen on lap 37. As long as he sticks with this lead bunch, he can pit with them, save a little bit of fuel. He would have spent the most to get to this part of the race, so he was Barry Neal there, just blinking a little bit. So it's not the worst outcome for Jason Martin, albeit he won't like the fact that he's lost the lead of this race.
He won't. Damon Stockton has come into pit lane as well, so he is one of the first of those that sort of front pack to decide, well, I've had enough of that out here, I'm going to come in. We saw him running up towards the front in the early stages, so he's going to be a big gainer of this the longer these guys stay out, as long as there's no caution. If caution comes out, of course, then things go terribly wrong. The one it would work out for, though, is probably Lachlan Acquio, because he's got that lead lap back now, and he is setting some really good pace. So he is he's almost half a lap, so he's basically a straight ahead of the leaders now, so he has got a very nice gap at the moment, and he is on the same lap as those guys, so he's in a pretty good position at the moment. But we'll see how much further these guys can go. How much fuel saving have they done? How much fuel saving can they do? Can they try and make it to as close to lap 50 as possible and try and make it a one-stop race? We have seen cars this year do that and really try and egg it out to do a one-stopper, but the pace advantage on those fresh tyres may be enough to make it not worth it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And of course, there is still that massive furble from 7th down, that big pack of cars that are busy racing each other that can easily bring out a caution.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus those the cars with the new tyres coming back into things can also be the author of misfortune with that increased pace. So let's get into that interesting period of the race. Who is going to do what here on FGM eCast? Mention to TrackCams for Gourmet, who are our camera providers for this race this evening, bringing you these excellent images that we are getting from the different camera angles. Appreciate their support.
Fantastic looking cameras, especially when the cars go past and you get that beautiful shake. It looks fantastic. Always adds a little bit of spice to the broadcast, gives us that little bit of extra realism, of course, which we love to see. We love to make it look as good as possible, and FGM eCast and Stuart has done a fantastic job of doing that, especially with those new camera models.
So 41 of 100. So even this lead pack's just starting to break up a little bit as well. Skurley and Dave Douglas have managed to just break the cycle. So as Worley comes under attack from Barry Neal, and Barry Neal looks like he's going to get that position. It's come back to him now. He was struggling a little bit for grip, we think, from that push at the start of the race, and it's coming right back to him now. As who's that just rejoining there? It's the 696 of Damon Stockton, so he's down a lap. Was from our lead pack, of course. He's going to probably get that back now, though.
Yeah, he's going to get that lead back. Just a little bit further back, though, we've got the Natari boys just behind Luke Traher, and they're trying to block the positions at the moment, trying to keep Josh Micklemore sort of in line, basically. They've got Ben Vickers, who's on fresh set of tyres there as well. So Vickers is, of course, on fresh tyres, so he's going to have a little bit more of a pace advantage, but maybe just a little bit less racy, possibly just because being slightly new to the series. So he might not be as confident to try and push as much, but you can see the Natari boys are really, really working to keep Josh Mickelmore behind him at the moment. Every time Mickelmore tries to make a move, somebody is in front of them, and Raymond Diega is also joining in on that action as well. So Mickelmore having a hard time to get past at the moment as we see there Raymond just having to make a bit of a move away from Vickers as he gets caught on the midline. Looked like Vickers might have just washed up a little bit. Even though he's on those fresher tyres, you have to be careful. So Vickers is desperately trying to make up positions and use those tyres to his advantage, but he also has got caught out a little bit on that low line. So the difference in the Cup cars and this style of racing just catching him out a little bit.
Yes, indeed. I'm surprised I haven't seen more jumping into pit lane by now, car. The track temperature's quite high. I mean, obviously we've had all green running at the moment for this point, but thought we would have seen a couple more jump in.
Well, I think they have done their numbers and crunched it that they can make it to 50 laps, and I think that's what they're going to be planning on doing. So these guys are going to be lifting and coasting a little bit. They are going to be jostling for position, sliding in behind cars just to get a little bit of a tow, just to get as close to as possible of lap 50 so that they can make it on one stop so that they don't have to come in again for fuel. And that's a pretty... If they can make it work, then it definitely will be a big advantage, especially over those guys that did come into pit lane. So it will cost people like Lachlan Urquio quite a bit. Although he does have that pace advantage, as I said, he's still got to make up quite a few positions and it's quite a bit of time. So it does make it a little bit harder in that respect. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's see what people are going to do. Let's see how close they can get to lap 50 on fuel. They're on lap 45 at the moment. They've only got to make 5 more laps. But on a 3.2 kilometre circuit, that's easier said than done. These things are quite thirsty beasts.
Absolutely, they can be. So even Neil Pearson's... Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Barry Neal just trying to take back the lead of Dave Douglas at the moment at the front of the field. Scully, Barry Neal and Dave Douglas all fighting it out for that lead at the moment. Jason Martin just dropping in behind Worley and just sort of happily sitting there at the moment, possibly just preserving a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, as I said, not the worst place to be in as we approach the pit window. A race like this, tenths count. You can see there, Dave Douglas just inspecting the rear of the 22, Barry Neal. Close as you can get without rubbing. But, as has been said ad nauseum before, rubbin's racing, so it's all good.
It's said a lot in the old sport of NASCAR. It's one of those terms that tends to get said quite a lot. But the Autora team, the Autora racing team, doing a good job up in front with Barry Neal. Of course, the Kiwi-based team having a fantastic drive tonight, very quick pace tonight, and showing that they've definitely got a hold on things up at the front. So good job from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So just jump back here to Andrew Dyson. He's got his teammate Neil Pearson behind him. They've just managed to separate themselves from that Danny G, Natari Autosport mixture that's going on for positions 8 through to 15. So in the new orange livery, the 041 of Andrew Dyson. Same team, same sponsors still. Just trying out a new look.
Neil, Jason Martin into pit lane, so they are the first to blink lap 48, so they have had to come in now, and those are the two, importantly, those are the two that had led a lot of laps. So they have had to come in now. How much further can the guys out there go? This could be good news for people like Skurlock and Worley, who've been a bit further back in the pack. Same with Neil Pearson, possibly Foster. These guys can possibly run a tiny bit longer, so they might be able to run it to lap 50 exactly, or maybe 51. If they can get to 51, they're going to be sitting very pretty indeed.
On board here with Skurlock. Have a listen. Dave Douglas has dropped down. They're in. Both of them are in pit lane. Or Skirley, he's going to make up a heap of distance here. on Dave Douglas. You can just see him there. That's going to help him. Wouldn't be surprised here if Michael Skurlock gets out in front of Dave Douglas. He's closed up the gap there a heap on the entry into pit lane. We said it on Tuesday night. We'll say it again here on Thursday night. Pit lane entry can be all the difference.
Look at how Dave Douglas has positioned his car. Look at how Skurlock's positioned his car. He's positioned his car so he's basically come in straight into the box. Dave Douglas is going to be able to run out easier. Dave is going to get a better launch out of the box here. Who's going to make it? I think it's going to be Dave Douglas.
Oh, Skurly lit him up.
Beautiful gamesmanship by Dave Douglas there. He perfectly positioned that car. Skurlock he pitted with the car pointing towards the wall, so he had to light it up a little bit, and that cost him that time.
Oh, fantastic stuff there from the boys. As at the moment, it means Edward Foster in the lead of this race. He'll do it for a lap at least, just to get that bonus point in, if nothing else.
Oh, if he's got the fuel.
Yeah, well, that's it. If he has got the fuel. But he is currently there.
So himself and Paul Jackson are the only two to make it crucially to lap 51. So they have made it that extra lap on fuel. So they are going to be able to make it to the end on fuel without any trouble at all. So they are looking very good at the moment. Everybody else is looking a little bit dicey. So the guys that pitted on lap 50, they're going to be okay. Everybody else could be a little bit touch and go, but now this is going to put Lachlan Urquio into the lead of the race. So Lachlan Urquio, the first of those guys to pit, he's in the lead of the race now. So he is going to be sitting very happy up there for a few moments, but of course he is going to have to come in again. So he's not going to be able to make it to the end at all here. He's going to be hoping for a caution to even things out for him. A caution in the next 5 or 10 laps could be an absolute godsend for Lachlan Urquio.
Yeah, he's counting on it just to see if he can get there, but only time will tell. I tell you, it's been pretty clean so far. There's been no even close calls. So he's dare we say, on a diminishing return here. Lachlan Urquio as the laps count down, but at the moment in the lead of the race. He'll be able to run through, having pit on lap 30, probably to around lap 80, maybe a little earlier than that before he has to pit. So we will see what happens.
Yeah, that's it. It'll be interesting to see what strategy he pulls here, because of course we saw how much faster he was on those tyres as well, so he might try and use tyres to his advantage, see what he can do there. Meanwhile, it's a bit of a battle between Douglas and Skurlock still. Those two are glued together on the track. Just looking through the actual racing, Danny G has got a massive pack of cars behind him. Jaden Russell, Ruben Phelps, who stopped a little bit earlier, Josh Mickelmore, Adam Rosell, Luke Traher. Then it falls back to Riley Curtis a little bit further back. Edward Foster, of course, they're one of the last drivers to pit, as well as Paul Jackson. So those two have got very fresh tyres on their cars. They've also got a full tank of fuel, so they're going to be looking pretty good for the end of the race. Looks like Andrew Dyson has had to come in again. He might have got a penalty there, so Dyson having to come in again because he only stopped recently, I think. So Dyson is going to be copping a penalty, I would say, or he is trying something very different indeed. So yeah, it looks like he might have copped a penalty on that one. So Dyson, unfortunately for him, he's going to be absolutely fuming with himself, I'm sure.
An unusual mistake there from Dyson as Barry Neal puts the move on Damon Stockton. Gets that move done, so moves back up into second place on track. Effectively first when you take into consideration pit stops to come. Barry Neal, one of those on a strategy that may require an additional fuel stop, so he'll be probably wanting to jump in behind someone for a little bit of time, you'd think, Carl, to try and make sure he gets there.
Yeah, it's either going to be dropping in behind somebody or just clutching it around the corners a little bit, just to try and save every little bit of vapor of fuel that they can to get to the end, because coming in that little bit early is going to really affect their strategy. We saw that Edward Foster had to stop on 51, so we know that they can really probably only do about 51 laps. That's about the maximum that they managed. So people like Martin and Barry Neal, they need to save around about two to 3 laps of fuel. So that's going to be very tricky to do.
Well, Lachlan Urquhart still in the lead here by around about 5 seconds over Barry Neal in second place. We've got Jason Martin in third, Damon Stockton in fourth, Dave Douglas in fifth, followed by Michael Skurlock, Philip Worley, Neil Pearson, Raymond Yeager and Daniel Hedersheed rounding out our top 10. As it stands at the moment, we've had 1 round of pit stops completed, and our current race leader, Lachlan Urquhart, did pit on lap 30 around 18 laps earlier than those running behind him. So effective race leader will be Barry Neal on track as it sits at the moment, and he's got Jason Martin all over the back of him on fresh tyres. So both drivers pit on the same lap, so this battle continues where it left off prior to the pit stops.
Yeah, this battle's going to be going on for a while. I think these guys have been really doing a great job of the racing, and you got to say, like, it's been pretty close between these two all night, but they're running in an unenviable position. They're going to be struggling a little bit, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be tricky for them. If they don't get a caution, then Barry Neal and Jason Martin might be in a tiny bit of trouble. And then you're going to be looking at people like Dave Douglas, Michael Skylock, Philip Worley, Neil Pearson. They're looking pretty good at the moment. So those guys are sitting rather pretty. And then, of course, if they start struggling, then somebody like Edward Foster might absolutely work his way through the field. We've seen it before in these races where fuel is touch and go at the end, that just that extra little bit of fuel can absolutely win you the race from nowhere.
Yeah, indeed. That's why I was talking about Trahir earlier, because he did get that damage, but there's a number at the moment who could really storm the end of this race and potentially get up for the win. Another one of those drivers is this man, Josh McMahon. He's still stuck in this sort of group of cars. He just can't quite manage to get out of it, and that's certainly nothing to the skill of the driver. It's just a track that we're at, difficult to make the pass stick, so he's really got to try and work with someone if he can, and he's fallen away from his teammates, so that's going to make it a little more difficult again for him to be able to get that slingshot and maybe jump up on the backs of Daniel Hedersheed there or someone of the like and make a run to the front. But we certainly can't discount Josh out of this one by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's these things can happen. Driver that has had a bit of misfortune, I've just sort of noticed, was Joshua Carroll-Walden, JCW. He had a really bad pit stop, locked it up into his pit box, lost a lot of time, and also damaged the front of his car. So he has dropped back a lot of positions, and he's going to be struggling with that car. He has got the sour apple green of Stephen Williams behind him in the DPR Simrigs car. So he's gonna say that's probably going to be getting past relatively quickly. The battle up for P5, 6 and 7 is very close at the moment. Dave Douglas is got Skurlock all over the back of him, and Philip Worley is right there as well in the purple DPR car as well. So those guys are really, really nose to tail. Speaking of nose to tail, up the front, Barry Neal has got Jason Martin right underneath his rear spoiler, and they are coming up to the leader of the race, Lachlan Urquhart, bagging himself some nice bonus points, but he is going to be praying that yellow flag comes out relatively quickly, because he does not want to see these guys run away from him too soon and start falling back in the pack without a caution coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the roll of the dice, unfortunately, and at the moment Barry Neal, Jason Martin, it's worked for them. Dave Douglas, the only good thing for Lachlan is this battle in the background here. Dave Douglas, Damon Stockton, Michael Skurlock for Wally. This will be spending tyre life as these guys continue this fight.
Of course, Damon Stockton, one of the earlier stoppers as well, so he's struggling a little bit now on his tyres. David Stockton has done a good 13 more laps on his tyres than those guys around him. All that time he made up with the undercut has been undone now, unfortunately, as those guys have come out on those fresh tyres, and the roll of the dice isn't working. Stockton just tags the wall there and almost goes into his teammate of Philip Worley. That was almost a big wreck for DPR, as that would have taken out possibly 3 of their cars.
Yeah, that would not have been a popular one back in pit lane if that had have happened.
No, the old team manager would have been furious there. It would have been a moment where you do not want to go into the back room and don't want to go and see the boss today. It's never fun when you crash into a teammate. Apparently, it's a frowned upon thing.
I can't imagine why.
Strange, isn't it?
Very, very strange.
A bit like crashing into your co-commentator or something like that, you know. It doesn't make things awkward at
that
all.
Would never happen, Carl. I don't know what you're talking about whatsoever. Never, ever happened before.
Not at all.
But the simracing.com guys, DPR team, just getting things back in order here. So they're in a relatively good position still. 30, what have got? 35 to go, and they're in a good cluster. So with Wally, Pearce, and Stockton all together, they're going to be able to position themselves well. And of course, the guys should be able to make a run, you would think. And obviously, Stockton's going to have to pit again, as Lachlan Urquhart actually does exactly that, jumps into pit lane. So Stockton's going to have to pit again, but he is going to be on fresher tyres towards the end of the race if we run green. Can't see anyone else stopping again from this lead pack unless they are running out of fuel, which could happen towards the last couple of laps of the race. So they're not in a bad spot here to be able to work together and potentially push for the lead. Of course, Neil and Martin running effectively by themselves. The teammates further back in the field, and Douglas and Skurlock flying solo privateers. So there's every chance here we could see a DPR win.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, Stockton will have to come in for his stop again. Probably the biggest question is going to be on header sheet, on Ruben Phelps, Barry Neal, and Jason Martin. Those guys are all they've all sort of on a sort of strategy where they're going to be very, very tight on fuel towards the end of this race. Aidan Schultz as well, actually. I'd put him on that list of ones to watch, but he's a bit further back in 23rd position, unfortunately. But they're all going to be extremely tight on fuel, and they're going to have to really lift and coast and just ease off on the pace a little bit. They've got a 6-second gap over Dave Douglas at the moment. So Barry Neal and Jason Martin, sort of, if they feel like if they sort of, they're probably going to need to just sort of have a gentleman's agreement where they go, look, we'll race each other at the end. We'll just have a little bit of an ease off at the moment. Just drop the gap down to maybe about 2 seconds and 3 seconds, just so that they don't get into our draft. And then we can go back to racing. We need to save fuel because we're going to start struggling towards the end of this race. We're going to cost ourselves a chance. But racing drivers don't think like that, of course.
No, not always. Skip back here to Danny G. Still in this battle with Jaden Russell, Josh Mickelmore, Riley Curtis, and Edward Foster. Luke Trahare's on the back of Edward Foster as well. So this is for positions 11 through 16. And
watch out for Foster. He was the last to pit. Same with Paul Jackson. Paul Jackson's a little bit further back, but he has got some pace. Foster is getting some good runs at the moment and is passing some of these guys. He's got he's pretty much able to run it rich, as you would say, to the end of the race. He doesn't need to worry too much about fuel. So he's probably going to be sitting pretty on fuel. And he'll have slightly fresher tyres as well. So he should be able to work his way through this pack a little bit and maybe gain a couple of positions back for this race. And if anybody starts to struggle, then he'll be able to pick them off like a carrion bird spotting a dead animal on the road.
Not a description I thought I would ever hear in commentary, but absolutely he will be able to pick them off one by one. So,
I forgot the name of the vulture. So.
No, you're right. That's fine. It was a good recovery. I wasn't going to go any further with it. But yeah, we've got to press on regardless. As Mickelmore still just really, really strong on the back of Jaden Russell, and Russell the same on Danny G. Just no movement here whatsoever. As it looks like Riley Curtis there as well, just piling the pressure on. He's got Foster right behind him, so keep an ear out, an eye on this battle there, as well as just wanted to check in here at the front again with Dave Douglas. Of course, this isn't the front of the race. The race leaders, Barry Neal, Jason Martin, have checked out. There's nearly 7 seconds to the good at the front at the moment. But Dave Douglas is in third with Skirley behind him, and Philip Worley, Neil Pearson involved, as well as Damon Stockton, who does still need to pit again. So how will this play out?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those races where we will see how it shakes out. And if it remains green, this is going to be fascinating towards the end. I think a lot of these drivers have been betting on the fact a caution's going to come out, and they're going to get unstuck with a green race if it does run to the end. So this is really going to start affecting those guys who have gambled a little bit. And as you say, I think it's probably looking best for people like Douglas, Skurlock and Worley. Probably Worley Worley and Neil are probably in prime positions at the moment. Just sitting a little bit further back in that pack because they can do a little bit of fuel saving as they race here. So when it gets towards the sticky end, they can actually put their foot down a little bit and maybe get a bit of a charge on somebody like Dave Douglas, who's been leading this little battle pack.
Yeah, and at the moment we know they're guaranteed to make it home. They made it halfway through the race, so 49 is that questionable lap where some of our field pitted. We think they can make it, but we're not entirely sure, so keep a look on that one.
Lachlan Acquio, the first of the two stoppers, is working his way up the field. He's currently in 21st position, so he's doing a good recovery job as he's just getting up towards Hamish Gallagher now and trying to make a move on him and Joshua Carroll-Walden, JCW. So Lachlan Acquio is sticking to that two-stop strategy, and he is trying to make it work. So he's doing a good job at the moment, and he's got some good pace. So he is going to work his way up the field. He might not get back to that P8 position that he had from qualifying, but he has had some good race pace tonight, and taking that slightly different strategy. It is a bit of a gamble, of course. It may not pay off completely for him, but he is doing a good job nonetheless. Meanwhile, Edward Foster has managed to get past Luke Trahair, so he's going to try and work his way up a little bit further too. So he's got Riley Curtis next on his list, who's currently on the tail of Josh Mickelmore there. I think they might have just got very close to each other as Riley Curtis just got a bit loose as the aero just lifted off the front of that car. So he just got a lot of aero wash. Jaden Russell in the lead of that little just in front of them as well. Jaden Russell, of course, one of the newer comers to the Cup Series and one of the new drivers to ANZCAR, having a great run again. He started down in 23rd. He's currently in 11th. Danny G in 10th position, just trying to chase down Raymond Diego at the moment. So Raymond Diego with the Witcher Electrics sponsored car there, having a good run in the moment in the Intersim Esports Network car as well, so he's having a good run there. Daniel Hedesheed just in front of them, he's got a little bit of a gap, and then he's got David Stockton, who's got a pit again, who's running up there with Neil Pearson, Philip Worley, Skurlock, David Douglas, Jason Martin, and then the leader Barry Neal.
So Scully and Dave have been going at it for the entirety of the second stint as we have 25 to go. So really the winner here, probably Phil Worley out of all of these. He can run this one to the end with some fuel saving. He'll certainly make it to the end. So, and he's going to have full fuel available to him if he continues just to spend some time jogging on the spot behind these two. Dave Douglas, of course, bearing the brunt of the fuel load.
Yeah, and of course Philip Worley taking the win last time out at Indianapolis, so he's coming fresh off a victory. So he's managed to get the monkey off his back to get that first win in the Cup Series. So he's going to want to try and get another good strong result tonight, especially on an oval, which is, in his own words, not his strongest area of expertise. So he's been doing a great job tonight running up there. Just behind him, a few of the guys that have pitted. I think that might be Ruben Phelps there in the Aussie Esports car. Ruben Phelps, that beautiful paint job on there, just came in for a pit stop, as well as Tristan Koch just behind him as well. So those guys coming in for their final stops, and they're going to be flying through the field at the moment, just getting up their positions, trying to get back on the lead lap just in case that caution falls.
Yeah, caution at the end here would throw a cat amongst the pigeons. So what the drivers would be thinking, they jump in a pit lane. I reckon those who pitted on it or prior to lap 50 would probably run the slash and dash at the very least, just to make sure they got home. But of course that safety car period would help them get that extra mileage they would need. So just wonder how they would go. 22 left on the clock.
And we've seen the difference in pace that tyres give as well here. The tyre advantage is huge. So if that flag does fall, I think we'll see everybody in pit lane strapping a new set of boots on their tyres. As Jason Martin is pitting, Jason Martin can't make it to the end. This is crucial information here. So Jason Martin has pulled the pin. He can't make it to the end here. He's having to stop, and this is disastrous for his race.
Yeah, absolutely. It would suggest then that Barry Neal's probably going to be short, as well as Adam Rosell, who's running a little bit lower down there in 17th. There, our drivers who pitted on lap 48, Phil Otto is going to have to stop again as well. He pitted way back on lap 45. So will not make it to the end. Taking tyres as well. So what does this mean for Barry Neal? Well, it means Barry's probably going to have to stop as well. And it means Dave Douglas is the effective race leader at the moment. But we know he's been spending a little bit of extra juice running at the front. So, and did pit on lap 49. So there's not 100% confidence that he can make it home from here. So
and Heddersteed coming in as well. So again, one of those drivers that stopped on the same lap. So Damon Stockton coming in too.
Stockton as well,
so,
yeah.
Yep, these guys are all coming in for their second stop. They know they can't make it to the end. They are absolutely having to do that. Barry Neal's got a good 10-second gap over Dave Douglas at the moment, so he can definitely lift and coast a bit. He can really try and fuel save, but has he used too much up? That's the question. He was, of course, leading Jason Martin, so he has been using that fuel up quite a lot, and this is really going to affect him. The person this is going to help most is going to be Lachlan Urquio.
Yeah, Lachlan Urquio in terms of raw pace at the moment, certainly going to help him. He's got 29 seconds to make up, so it's going to help him bridge that gap. But I can't help but think that Michael Skurlock or Philip Worley are in the prime position here. Just being able to manage fuel a little bit better, running in the traffic, so they've got that benefit. And whether or not it is going to be a Skurlock
Barry
night.
Neal coming in. Barry Neal is coming in.
Yeah, wow, okay, so we're now looking at our lead pack. What are they going to do?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I mean, as I said, I think that the people that are sitting pretty at the moment is going to be Worley and Pearson. Those two are sitting very good at the moment. They've been sitting behind Skurlock and Douglas for most of this stint, which is going to help them save a little bit of fuel. If everybody else is struggling on fuel, then, you know, we might see a couple of other people, Neil Pearson, for example. Neil Pearson, Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock, they all stopped a lap later than Philip Worley, Raymond, Danny G, Jaden Russell, Josh Micklemore. So those guys have got one lap less fuel on board. They all may be struggling at the moment. So Philip Worley, I've got to say, is looking very good at the moment. Same with the guys behind him. So we'll have to see how this one pans out. This is going to be a really interesting final stint now, because yeah, it looks like people are starting to panic a little bit. There's 16 laps to go. So coming in now, you sort of need to come in now to make up those positions and make it back into a relatively good finishing position. Because those guys that came in, Jason Martin, Barry Neal, for instance, they're catching up to Lachlan Urquio at the moment. They've got quite a bit of pace to make up. They've still got about 5 seconds to make up, but we do know that tyre advantage will help them out a fair bit. But they are going to have to, they sort of have to pit now to really save their race.
Yeah, it's one of those sink or swim moments now, isn't it? 16 to go, so You gotta do it. If you're gonna do it, you can't do it much later than now. So, well, who knows? Phil Otto's in pit lane as well. He was definitely going to need to pit, so he's getting that stop done. The big question lies at the front.
Dave Douglas. Jump on board with Dave Douglas and take a listen to his car as he goes into the corners. So as he's coming out, as he's getting to the point where he needs to put his foot down, he is definitely doing it. But watch as he comes into this next corner. He's going to cross the start-finish line here, and around about to this green part here, he'll drop off.
He's on the clutch, isn't he?
He is indeed. So he is coasting there. He is fuel saving as much as possible. What about Skurlock behind him? Is he doing the same? I would imagine so. Again, coming into this corner here, we'll take a bit of a listen.
Oh, he is too. Is he right? Well, let's see. Philip Worley, he pit on lap 50. He should be fine, but is he doing the same thing? Is he even concerned about fuel at this stage? He probably won't be. We'll have a listen. No, not at all.
Worley and Pearson are both not clutching it in as much. They are both basically just easing off the accelerator and just driving through the corner normally. So they will have a little bit more pace, but they are sitting behind those two cars in front of them just to give them that chance to get to the end on fuel. But this says to me, Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock can't make it. They are going to be struggling for fuel. So they are definitely going to have to lift and coast a little bit to make it on fuel, and they are going to be touch and go at the end of this race. What this can do, of course, is it can cause a bit of trouble coming into the corners because you start to catch up a little bit quicker sometimes, and sometimes it can cause a little bit of a bump here and there. So Worley and Pearson both have to watch out for this one. The one I'd say is looking good at the moment is going to be Edward Foster. We saw he managed to go that little bit longer on fuel, so he's going to be charging through the field, I'd say, as much as he can, and he might make it up to... He might even be able to make it up to the podium positions at this rate.
No, he's lapping around the same pace as all of those in front of him, so just going to depend on how much these guys have to pull out to make sure that they make it to the end. Of course, the getting the fuel saving done now means that if these guys do have to push in that last 10 laps, potentially it means they're able to do that. But certainly the DPR boys here, Philip Worley and Neil Pearson, looking the goods on fuel. It's been a good race for Pearson. He qualified a lot lower than we would normally expect to see. He's just gradually worked his way up here inside the top 5, so in good position. Josh Mickelmore, we said as well, like he's up into P7, so he's up 11 positions. Jaden Russell up 17 spots, so it's really the night of the long game for these guys. Even inside the top 10, Luke Trahare up 15 spots, and Foster, as you mentioned, he's up 12, so it's certainly helped those who've played the long game.
Yeah, that's it. It's sort of, well, as we said, it's playing that game, getting that fuel strategy just right. It's the big thing here at Michigan. Fuel is always a key player here at this raceway, and once again, it's showing it. It has been a very good night. We've had very good racing on track, very clean racing as well, and there's going to be the fuel preservation mode. And at the moment, you've got to say Philip Worley is the one that's looking best for it. So he is looking pretty good in the purple DPR car. What flavour is purple generally? That's the big question we need to ask now, of course.
Well, I was surprised to find out that there is a purple M&M. So I mean, it's I'm not sure what flavour it is, but whatever flavour it is, it's working because he's in P3.
Yeah, he's doing a great job at the moment with the red follow-up in Neil Pearson. Those debut colours are working out for them tonight. Just a little bit further back, Danny G doing a good job holding off Jaden Russell as well. So that battle is still not up. We've got 9 laps remaining here tonight at Michigan. And again, it is turning out to be a fantastic race here for the Cup Series. Another race where things have changed a little bit and things haven't gone as expected. You know, we sort of thought probably a two-stop race is going to be the best option for people. And once again, the drivers have gone, look, we can do this on one stop, or at least we think we can do it on one stop, and really trying their best to make it to the end on fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. 9 to go. Here at Michigan, this is the penultimate round before we head into the chase. Got to have that in the back of our minds as well. Philip Worley, by confession, not able to make the chase. Neil Pearson probably able to do that. How will that play out? Jaden Russell and Danny G find out as well for 5 and 6. So Josh Micklemore involved in that. You'd expect to see him in the chase. Foster not secure by his own admission in the chase yet either. Luke Trahair wanting to make his way in. He's right on the border. So all that has to play out as well.
Yeah, it is looking like it's going to be a very tasty chase, and it's going to be an exciting one. But as we say, we've got one more race after this one, of course, and this one's still not over, so there's still so much to play for tonight. Just a big shout out and big moment of sort of a sad moment, but a big moment for Bob Jenkins, of course, who passed away this week. Legendary NASCAR and IndyCar commentator. We all wish his family the best, and condolences to everyone for that one, because yeah, that's such a huge name in the sport. It's never fun when we lose such a big talent.
No, certainly not. Particularly with everything else that's going on around the world as well. Never good.
But as is motor racing, it doesn't stop. It keeps on going, and the best way to honour anybody in the sport is to put on a great show, and we are getting that tonight. Luke Trahair currently battling off Josh Micklemore, who is fighting with Raymond Yeager. Edward Foster catching up to Jaden Russell at the moment. Foster has decided it's time to go. He's now putting in some fast laps. He's trying to catch up to Russell and Danny G to try and get himself up into at least a top 5 position at the moment. You can see Neil Pearson getting a little bit racy up the front as well now on his teammate Philip Worley. Worley taking that slightly higher line. The two DPR cars are now starting to think this is our time to make a move, and Worley does make a move. He's going down the inside of Skurlock. They're making their pass, getting on the inside for the lead of this race. We've got Skurlock, Worley up the front, down on the inside. Philip Worley trying to take that inside line. Dave Douglas trying to cover him off, can't quite do it. Worley taking the position and taking the lead here at Michigan. Dave Douglas tries his best to defend but can't quite do it. Douglas is going to keep going, keep trying to push that car, but he's only got so much fuel. Worley's falling out of the draft right now, and this is going to give Neil Pearson the opportunity. Neil Pearson coming up quite fast as well. Pearson, Worley on the side. Pearson goes up to the high side. Worley down on the low side. Philip, you got Skurley running interference in the middle with Dave Douglas up front. Looks like the two privateers are trying their best to stop the DPR cars getting through, but there's only so much they can do. Neil Pearson down to the low side now. He's making a charge onto Skurlock. Will he be able to make the move that Worley couldn't? These two, of course, have got a little bit more fuel on board over Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock, who have been heavily fuel saving. Got Worley now trying the high side. He's going to get a little bit better run off the corner. He's going to get a nice bit of draft here. Tried for the inside into turns 3 and 4 on Skurlock. Will he be able to make the pass work right now?
Yeah, he's got very close there as well between the front of Worley and the rear of Worley, I should say, and the front of Neil Pearson as well. So, but Worley here down on the low side. Skurlock will try and use the draft from Douglas as Douglas moves up to the high side as well. You've got Joshua Carroll-Walden coming up as lap traffic, so Skurlock holds out. This has helped Dave Douglas open the gap a little bit. He's got the draft from Joshua Carroll-Walden as well. That's helped him a little bit there, as actually he's just dropped a little bit. And you've got Skurley closed up on the back of him there. Pearson down on the inside on the low line. Again, he's not going to get the benefit of a draft, so Douglas will be protected as we've got 3 to go. We're about to cross the halfway mark of this lap. It looks like that gap has just broken ever so much as well. So I reckon the guys might have done enough fuel saving to allow them to battle on these last laps. Maybe they're doing it early to get it out of the way, able to just control things. At the moment, Dave Douglas with 2 to go.
It is going to be nail-biting action now. They're going to be checking those fuel numbers, hoping that there is enough fumes in that car to get them across the line. Hope they don't choke and cough on the last lap. 1.6 laps remaining for Dave Douglas. Can he do it? There is a fast-charging Foster trying to get up to the back of Danny G at the moment. Foster managing to get up into 7th place, but the big battle is at the front right here. Skurlock now just getting down on the inside. Looks like Skurley is just helping a little bit with Dave Douglas, just giving Dave a little bit of protection from the back and keeping Worley boxed up. But Worley has got so much more speed with that little bit more fuel available, I'd say. It's going to be hard to keep them from charging. The white flag is out. The last lap is here. Can Dave Douglas and Skurley do it? Can they maintain this lead? Have they saved enough fuel? We're going to find out. We're going to find out shortly. You can see Worley trying to press the advantage. He gets down on the inside of Skurlock this time. He's going to try and make the run again. Can't quite make it stick. Skurley keeping in position. Dave Douglas there. Dave Douglas slowing. Douglas is out of fuel. Dave Douglas has run out of fuel. Michael Skurlock takes the lead. You can see Neil Pearson making a charge. Pearson charging down the inside. Pearson is going to get a good run on Michael Skurlock. Michael Skurlock covers off Pearson. Will Pearson get the drive off the corner, or will it be Worley? Philip Worley gets a great drive. He's going to come home second, but it's going to be Michael Skurlock taking out the win.
Heartbreak there for Dave Douglas. We're on board with him when the car started to cough, and he's just run out of fuel there with half a lap to go, and that is the difference between leading and running second for a vast majority of this race. Michael Skurlock able to make it home with enough fuel, and he's still got fuel left in that tank, and we're going to get a bit of a show here from Skurley. It's been a little while between drinks for him. He's jumped straight out, in fact, so he must have run out.
That's how much fuel he had left.
That's how much fuel he had left. He had none. So heartbreak there for Dave Douglas after a race very well run. But he's managed to still come across the line in 8th, so he was millilitres away from being able to carry that one off, but just not quite able to get there in the end. So it was Michael Skurlock from Philip Worley. What a great result for him, with Neil Pearson in 3rd. And we've got Jaden Russell in 4th, Danny G in 5th, Edward Foster ending up managing to make the run home into 6th place, with Luke Trahare in 7th. Dave Douglas is set in 8th position, Josh Micklemore in 9th, and Barry Neal rounding out our top 10 for this evening's race at Michigan. A really, really good one, particularly the finish there. All green flags start to finish, and a great finish there for Skurley at the top of the tree.
Jaden Russell, the biggest gainer of the night, 19 positions gained. Luke Trahare second in that, 18 positions gained. Good job for them. We had Ben Vickers finishing in 26th position after that pit stop, of course, but he managed to finish, and he finished only a lap down, so good job for him on his Cup debut. Always good to come in and give it a try, and that's who stop strategies did not work out for him, unfortunately. But the stop for Skurlock, where he came out just behind Dave Douglas, may have been his saving grace, in all honesty. That late entry into the pit lane, we thought Skurley was going to get ahead of Dave Douglas. Turned out Skurley got away just behind him, and that may have saved him and won him the race.
Absolutely. Well, look, we've got Neil Pearson and Phil Worley available. We'll just jump them into the booth right now. We're just waiting for Michael Skurlock to make the long walk back from halfway around the track because he ran out of fuel. And Carl, if you want to take it away with Neil.
Absolutely. Neil Pearson, congratulations on that very, very close P3 finish. Rocking out a new colour scheme tonight. Seems to have worked out for you, making 10 positions in the race at the end there. Getting up into 3rd place, getting a podium finish as well. Not a bad result, all in all.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. The fuel saving was massive in that. It was good fun racing PJ and Skurlock there in the end, and Dave Douglas. Shame he ran out of fuel. And yeah, the new paints, it worked out pretty good for all of us, I think.
Yeah, we were absolutely confused and befuddled by the new paint schemes, of course. It threw us off many times, so congratulations for that.
You're welcome. That's what I planned on doing when I made them, so...
Thank you very much. we love it when people do that. No, a really good race. I mean, look, we saw that you guys, fuel saving was going to be key when you stayed out and made it to sort of around about that lap 50, sort of lap 49 mark, of course. Coming in on what came on, I think, lap 49 for yourself. Did that sort of make it a little bit more troublesome for you towards the end of the race?
Yeah, it did. Like PJ, he got that extra lap, so it would have been better. But I had to really save a lot behind them. I just did everything I could to save that fuel and just made sure I hit the number that my program was telling me to hit, and it worked out.
It did indeed. It worked out extremely well. It was so close at the end there for taking out. Well, it was so close between all of you, just 0.2 of a second from first to third. There was nothing between you guys as you crossed the line, really. So that was fantastic to see, as is always something we enjoy. Just towards the end there, how much fuel did you have when you crossed the line?
It sputtered pretty much 10 meters after the line.
So very close indeed. Look, fantastic job. Congratulations on that P3 finish. And of course, this is going to be, well, this is pretty much locked you into the chase, of course. So you must be feeling pretty happy about that.
Yeah, pretty happy. And then we get the points reset going into Darlington, and away we go.
That's it. So before I let you go tonight, Mr. Neil Pearson, who would you like to give a shout out and some love to sponsors, things like that?
First of all, just simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, BetMax Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Services, Alcoholder, Phoenix Smokers, NP Designs. You guys for the awesome broadcast. I'm going to go have a watch of that tonight. And just the boys, we've having a lot of fun doing these oval stuff, and we're starting to really get the results as a team. So it was good.
Yeah, it's great to see, and it's great to see the other guys in the team working out so well in the ovals as well. Congratulations, Neil. We'll catch you again in the booth soon, I'm sure.
Hopefully next week.
Fingers crossed. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Philip Wally, second time in the box in 2 weeks. P2 this time. We saw you up in first place at Indianapolis, of course, the road course, but on an oval, you said one of your weak points, but you almost went and won it.
Yeah, that was probably one of my better ones of the year. The more I do, the better I'm getting at them, that's for sure. So it's always good to run at the front with the real quick boys.
Absolutely. It's all good experience, and we have seen your experience rising through the year, and that was probably one of your best, well, as you said, your own words, one of your best oval races of the year. You were so close to a victory there, of course, managing to save that little bit of extra fuel coming in that one lap later. I imagine that really helped you out.
Yes and no, to be honest. I crossed the line with 1.3 litres, so I had that extra lap in hand. But because I stayed out for that extra lap, I had a big gap to get back to Skirley and Douglas. So, I don't know. Maybe next time I'll come in with the pack and just look to save a bit more. I'm on the podium, so really, whatever I did worked. I'll just put it in the book of notes and go again next week.
Go and read all the data sheets and do the simulation work and see what you can do better next time, and maybe get the next place up in the future. But as you said, you're on the podium, you're P2 on an oval as well. Congratulations for that, and congratulations for absolutely bringing it all race long as well. Some really good racing towards the end there. We saw some really good moves by you trying to get it up past Skirley and of course Dave Douglas at the end there. How fun was that racing?
It was awesome. Like I said, racing with all the quick boys at the front, Skirley and Neil, Dave Douglas and Martin and Barry Neal when they were up there. It just makes it that much more fun when you can be running that quick, that close with a lot of blokes, and everyone's pretty safe. Like, you're not going to have a big bust up. As for the moves, I probably didn't have enough tyre to pass Skirley, but I knew I had fuel. So I was sort of hoping that if I could press the pace on for the last 5 laps, that they hadn't done enough saving. And I mean, it worked to get Dave out of the way, but Skirley was just too good in the end.
Congratulations on the P2. Like, hopefully we can get you back in the booth in P1 on an oval again sometime before the year is out. But congratulations on a very solid year so far. And as usual, shout out and love to sponsors and anyone you'd like to say hello to tonight.
Well, of course, you boys at FGM eCast for the broadcast. It's always phenomenal. ANZCAR for the great series. full credit to the boys. Since Daiso had a shocker, I'll get it in for him. Simrigs.com, Southall Lifts and Hoist, Ben Max Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Service, Alcoholder, Phoenix Smokers, and of course MP Designs for the beautiful new liveries.
Congratulations on the new liveries as well. They look great, as confusing as they are for us at the start of this one, but I'm sure we'll get everything right soon, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
Yeah, hopefully next week. Thanks, boys.
Next up, we head to the king of fuel saving, Skirlikin, Mr. Welsh Nibbler, the mighty man, the man of a million nicknames, Mr. Michael Skirly Skirlock. Congratulations on that victory, mate.
Oh, mate, Stag Beetle Skirlock's the nickname now after sitting on the back of Dave that whole race, sucking his fuel away.
You're like a tick on the back of Dave Douglas there. I was talking about pit stops because when you and Dave came in for your pit stops, you had a fantastic entry and looked like you made up a lot of time on him, but just lost a little bit of time on pit exit. Do you think that made a bit of difference for your race because you could just save a little bit of fuel towards the end there, or did you want to try and get out ahead of Dave?
No. I wasn't trying to pass him at all. We pretty much decided that he was happy to stay out front. He was awesome at saving fuel. So he was saving fuel on par with me, and I was right behind him, not even going full throttle. And somehow he was basically with me the whole way towards the end. And, yeah, like I could tell Phil now, if he had gone one lap earlier, we would have been done because I literally only had that last lap in me to do it. So he could have taken off and he would be the only guy running, I reckon, at the end. But, yeah, unfortunately, Dave ran out just at the very end there. I was going to push him to the win. I didn't even care about winning, to be honest. I wanted to get him over the line. But, yeah, also, actually, I was saying no one's ever written a note down for oval racing either. That's just it. Round and 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 round. You don't really need to write notes. But,
I mean, generally there's a note on the dashboard saying turn left.
Oh, yeah.
That's the important one to remember.
You can't figure that bit out, then look out. But, no, overall, that was like a Olympic event, mate. That was like the cycling or something where they just wait till the last minute before they all just burst and try to win. It was weird. I haven't had a race like that. Like, I don't think I've ever had a race like that for that long, saving for that long, you know what I mean? It was horrible, to be honest. Like, all these fuel-saving races, they don't really do well for me.
No, it's not the easiest thing to do. And one thing we're talking about through the broadcast, of course, is we're sort of expecting to see probably a caution flag fly. And were you a bit surprised not to see any yellows this evening?
Not once the race started going, because the way that the drafting is now, it's harder to get right on people, and the cars really get impacted as soon as you come out of that draft. You're done. Like you just sink back. So no one's willing to sort of come out and risk trying to pass because you just get swamped. So it's good and it's bad. I feel like it's probably more realistic, but I don't know. The car never really changed the way it drove. The tyres stayed pretty similar. And that last hole that time, like all four of us would have been saving the tyres as well. So, yeah, it was good, man. It was a good last battle. I was on the edge of my seat there, and I could see that I was just sort of pinching down enough where Neil had to back out. He probably could have just gone for it, sent me. But
I don't race that way, mate.
No, I'm just saying it would have, that's Kyle Busch would have done it, mate, wouldn't he?
He would have.
But no, it's good, man. It's good when you can race around people and they will do that. You know what I mean? In the end, what is it really for? I get to say I win, but it doesn't really make a difference, does it?
Doesn't make much of a difference, but it does sound good in the old.
I'm just lying. I'm trying to make them feel better.
We'll see all across social media now. The Skirler can win. And,
big post coming up. Look out.
That's it. I mean, it's just how it goes. I mean, we won't hear the end of this now. No, look, congratulations, Scully. A great victory. Great work with you and Dave as well. Like we saw that for all night long, you guys working together, and obviously, like a pair of bandits, just working with each other and stealing the win for yourself there, Scully. Congratulations on that victory, and of course for yourself as well. It looks like you're going to be pretty much locked into the chase as well. That must make you pretty happy too.
Yeah, mate. Yep. Have another go at that. See if we can do better than last year.
Now, look, hopefully we will do better this year than last year, and wish you very much luck in that. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing of love and shout out to sponsors and just anyone you'd like to say hello to, really.
Yeah, the old Banditos, the BMX Bandits, and obviously Dave, because I really reckon he should have won that. I was, I mean, if he wasn't there, I couldn't have won it. There's no way. I couldn't save fuel that much the way that he was. But other than that, I've just been doing the Skip Barber racing thing in the Aussie car, and I've signed up with the Locked On podcast guys to team up with my friend to race in teams event in that. So racing against Chaz, I don't even know, I can't remember his name, Mozart. I always say Mozart, like Beethoven, Mozart. But no, it's good racing in there. And so, yeah, I'll shout out to those guys, Locked On iRacing podcast. And you boys, FGM, eCast, and ANZCAR.
You're always welcome, Skirly. Congratulations on the win. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth before the year is out. Congratulations again to all three of you. Have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Thank you,
boys.
Papa.
Well, what a race, Stuart. We saw at the end there, fuel saving was key. Skirly stealing away that victory. But a great result for Philip Worley and Neil Pearson too. Worley getting a great result on the oval. He has been coming on leaps and bounds, obviously with the help of that man Neil Pearson as well. Great to see some new faces up the top as well. Jaden Russell in fourth too. And Danny G, well-deserved P5 for him as well. So nice to see with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a good race overall there. Provides a little bit of excitement for next season as well in terms of Philip Worley if he puts in a full season. Of course, not quite able to do that this year, but and get himself into the chase. But Neil Pearson there securing his spot. Skirly basically the same. So it makes interesting reading for next week. Of course, Josh Micklemore, Jason Martin probably finishing a little lower than we expect with those two for Mitch Motorsport, but expect to see them involved in the chase as well. And the fight's really on for those minor positions. So we can only wait and see what happens when we get back here next Thursday for the final round of the main game before we jump into the chase. So looking forward to that one next Thursday evening. Of course, before that, we are back on Monday night with the ANZCAR Truck Series. And we're getting round 1, season 3, 2021 underway there. And that's going to be a great one to get back into. I've missed the Truck Series over the last couple of weeks as they've been on holidays. So we will be back on Monday night with that one from 7:45 on FGM eCast. But until then, Carl, that's another evening run and done here in the ANZCAR Cup Series. And I thank you, as always, for your expert commentary in this field. And from us at FGM eCast, your E-Place for Pace, that is it for another Thursday night. And we look forward to seeing you on Monday evening, same place, 7:45, for all of your truck racing action. Thanks to everyone for joining in. We'll see you then.